So what does it mean to be a good teacher? Well, there was a time when I thought my job as a teacher was first and foremost to teach. But you know what? I think that's a wrong idea now. Things have changed a lot, haven't they? And, if you're a teacher, you know that this is a tough job. But here's the thing. Whether we want it to be or not, our first priority is actually not about teaching our content. Things have changed. And what is our priority? Well, that's where being a caring, creative teacher comes in. And that's what we're talking about today. What do the arts have to do with learning in SEL? Oh, so much. Join me as we explore the depths of how these things come together through SEAL, social, emotional, artistic learning. We'll look at the mindset, the methods, and the integrations that make SEAL so effective. So plug yourself in. It's time to get inspired. Hey everybody, welcome to the Inspired Classrooms podcast. I'm Elizabeth Peterson, your host. And so today we're talking about what it really means to be a caring, creative teacher. So the thing is, if our priority isn't actually to teach content, then what is it? Well, it's to create that safe learning environment where our students can come into our classrooms and learn. Now, of course, we need to put our content and our curriculum at the forefront of what we're doing. But see, here's the thing. If our students aren't ready to learn, then the content is junk, right? Let's be honest here. Now, I love referring to teachers in the Inspired Classroom community as caring, creative teachers because they naturally are. Teachers who come to the Inspired Classrooms website and to our Inspiring Teachers Facebook group, they just tend to have this side to them that is both naturally caring and creative. And I do think that all teachers have that in them. I really and truly do. We all want to grow in those capacities, right? Now, inside SEAL, one of our foundations is actually looking at what we call the 3 C's of a SEAL teacher. And that is certainly intertwined with all of this as well. You may be asking, okay, what are the 3 C's? Well, they're care, connection, and creativity. So you can kind of see how this all comes together, right? Well, let's look at what it means to be caring. Now, this really means taking the time to show you care. Not just about caring about your work, your job, your career, or your content, but caring about your kids, your students. And that's where building relationships and making connections come in. So for example, things as simple as greeting your students at the door when they come into your classroom, doing routine check-ins to see and get a gauge on how your kids are as they're coming into your classroom or as they're moving through your lessons. It can be, talking to your students, making conversations with them, and then actually listening to what your students have to say. Those are real, genuine ways that you can show your students that you actually care. So often I think teachers, they come into this profession and they care. I mean, I don't think many people come into teaching and in education without having some huge piece of their being as a caring person because they want to make a difference, right? They want to make a difference through educating children. And yet, a lot of times, we can take that care for granted, right? We know we care, but the thing is, we're at this point where we need to make sure our students truly know that we care. Because so many kids come into our classrooms and into our schools with a chip on their shoulder or having had trauma in their life. And so being with other adults doesn't necessarily mean that they feel safe and cared for. So it's become part of our job to just take that extra step, to just take those extra moments of time where we can really show our students that we are there for them. We do want them to succeed and achieve inside the classroom, and we care about what happens to them. Now, we go into depth with this inside of our SEAL courses because there's really so much to it. There really is a piece of this that we really need to think about inside of ourselves, because it's partly kind of almost changing a little bit of our own mindset behind this idea of caring for our students so that it is genuine. I mean, listen, I know it's genuine. I know you truly care, but making it so that our students understand that as well. Now, this also comes with, right, making those connections. That's that one of those C's of the 3 C's of a SEAL teacher. And I actually have a great resource, a free resource for you. It's called Quick Connections. And inside that resource, I have 6 ways that you can quickly connect meaningfully with your students. Because what I hear from teachers is that they want to connect with their students, but they still feel the pressure of all the curriculum and content they need to teach. And they feel like they just don't have time to sit down and have a conversation or have a circle circle of trust, I'm going to call it. And they miss out on those opportunities, but they don't feel like they have the time for it. And so what I did for this resource is I put together some really quick, like under 5 minutes or on the spot type of things that you can do with your students that show that you care, because you're putting that effort in to really make a connection with them. And also inside the resource, there are, I think, about 11 other great ideas of how you can connect if you have, more than 5 minutes. Maybe you spend a little bit more, maybe 10, 15 minutes to really dig into building those relationships with your students. So the website for that is theinspiredclassroom.com/connection, and I'll put a link in the show notes for that. All right, so there's the caring part. All right, now let's take a look at creative, right? Because I think that, oh my gosh, I know that there are so many teachers that are creative, whether or not they feel like they're artistic, right? There's, I don't want to say there's a difference, but I do feel like so many teachers are creative. Like you're every single day creating lessons and bringing them to your students and finding new ways to bring information to them so that they'll understand it, so that they'll engage in it. That takes a lot of creativity and imagination, and then follow through and just the whole thing. Teachers do amazing, amazing work. So I want to think about also being a creative teacher by allowing creativity to just be in your classroom, even if you might not feel comfortable about it, because this is really about your students, right? And I never want to, I always want to encourage teachers to bring creativity and the arts into their classroom, even if they don't feel like they are an artist or a musician or an actor or actress or a pro dancer. That really doesn't matter. What matters is that you are open-minded enough to allow for that creativity to come into your classroom, because you don't want to stifle the possibilities and the opportunities that your students could have with engaging in their learning because you feel limited by an art form. Case in point, I am no visual artist. I really, really am not. I wish I probably should take some more classes and learn some more techniques, but point being, I really don't feel comfortable drawing or creating illustrations. But I know that I have students year after year who have that talent. And who am I to stop them from creating something that I might not feel comfortable with? That would be such a detriment to their learning. And so what I believe teachers need to have in their minds when we talk about being a creative teacher is, one, yes, you as a teacher are creative and you do amazing things in the classroom, but you also want to make sure that you're allowing your students to be creative in your classroom as well. Give them a little leash, give them a little slack, see what they can come up with, encourage that, guide that, but definitely encourage that and see where it can take your students when it comes to learning in your classroom. And I think if you can put those two things together, the genuine care and allowing your students to see that genuine care that you have for your students, and that creativity within yourself and the acceptance of the creativity of your students, when you can put those two things, you have an amazing duo of characteristics of an amazing teacher, a caring, creative teacher. So thank you for listening to The Inspired Classroom, because that's where we love to welcome and encourage caring, creative teachers to be the amazing people that they are. And that is actually what SEAL is all about. And being a SEAL teacher, showing that you care, making those connections, and having a classroom that really supports creativity and allows for that type of learning in the classroom. All right, so you know me, I want to hear from you. I love getting messages from you. DM me on Instagram and Facebook. I'm at The Inspired Classroom on both. You can also find me at The Inspired Classroom or Eliza Peterson on LinkedIn. So message me and let's continue this conversation, a really important one about what it means to be a caring, creative teacher. All right, until the next time, stay inspired. Thanks so much for listening. Please be sure to subscribe as we continue talking about arts, learning, and SEL through SEAL, social, emotional, artistic learning. If you want to learn more, go to theinspiredclassroom.com. My name's Elizabeth Peterson, reminding you to get inspired so that you can be inspiring to your students.